Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to A Reseller's Journey. Here is your host, ebayjoey.
Welcome to A Reseller's Journey Season 3. I am your host, ebayjoey. Today's guest is having success in the reselling game. You can see his journey via Instagram. He documents his finds and sales. Representing the IE, he goes by the name LaVidaRetail2, but his buddies call him George. Welcome and thank you for being on the show.
What's up, Joey?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good, man. What's going on?
Oh man, this coronavirus, we're on lockdown.
We
Sales are
are?
up and down.
I know, right?
I'm on lockdown. I don't know about you from that pile
Yeah.
back there. I don't know if you're still doing work.
Man. I gotta say, man, it's been interesting times, but
Yeah.
I have I've been at eBay from since 2005 off and on.
Hmm.
So it's been a long time, but I've never seen business as is the last month. It's just been completely surreal.
Yeah. Now, is
Yeah.
it up? Is business good for you or is it down?
Business is great for me.
Yeah.
I've been very blessed. I've
Yeah.
done numbers that I've never seen in new in any Q4s or Q3s or
Yeah.
twos or ones, but it's just
Wow.
been surreal. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I've been doing this for a little bit over a year, and March
Yeah.
was my best performance ever. And it was just like I've sold the most amount of pieces. My net profit was there. It was just unbelievable that it had to take something like this, to kind of jumpstart a lot of people's sales. But I'll take it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you making time. I know you're a busy guy. We've been going back and forth and the
Yeah.
schedule, and so I'm glad
Yeah.
you're on the show. One thing that I'm very excited for is that you're under the radar type of reseller, and so I
Right.
think there's a lot of people that can relate to you, and I think this is going to be very good for the reseller community. All right, so
Right.
how'd you come up with your name, La Vida Retail 2?
Got it. So we started a couple years ago. My wife and I, she said, you should be reselling these bags that I have or these clothes that I have, and I'm gonna start in Poshmark. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, well, that sounds interesting. Start selling something on Poshmark. And she goes, I says, well, I'm gonna start doing it a week later. And then she goes, no, you're crazy. Well,
Yeah.
it's my life, right? And then she goes, what is this, like a movie? And I go, yeah, it's like my vida loca. And so I said, well, you know what? That's a good my vida retail, right? So that's how it come up, right? So it's an older Hispanic movie from LA. But
Yeah.
we she's that's how we got it. So I'm La Vida Retail too, and my wife is La Vida Retail.
Oh, so she's the number, the
She's
original.
a Of course, she's number one.
Yeah. Hey, I'm
Yeah,
married. I know how it is. That was a smart
of
move of
course.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
because
course.
when I was doing research on you, I was like, man, like, why number two? Like, is there
Yeah,
somebody else that took it? So
there you go.
that's
That's it.
cool.
Yeah.
So how long have you and your wife been doing the Poshmark thing?
But we've probably been about a couple years, 2.5, 3 years. We've been doing Poshmark. Um, so on that one, I think as of late, I would say Mercari has been definitely a huge push. I mean, I do Amazon, I do FBA, FBM, Mercari, eBay.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think as the podcast progress, it's going to be interesting to see what you like about each individual one, because I know there's a lot of people out there, George, that they only focus on one or two platforms, but I mean you're in all of them, so I think that's going to be very interesting as we continue to talk about that. So where are you based out of?
So I am based out of Colton, California,
Yeah.
small little city between San Bernardino County, San Bernardino, and Fontana.
Yeah. Were you born and raised in the Colton area?
No, I was born and raised in Northern California. I was born in Santa Clara County, so
Oh
I'm
wow.
from up north. But my parents lived in Downey for a long time, and so we kind of grew up there.
Okay. Yeah, man. I lived in Northern California for about 4 years. It's a different vibe. It's different.
Yeah,
The North and the South, even how we talk and say things, like people can tell where you're from just on how you're talking, which is interesting. But it is what it is.
yeah, that's right.
So, are you doing this part time or full time?
No, this is part time. I do it part time. I have a full time gig. Um, so this is more for me to really try to put a nest egg for my house, and
Hmm.
I do want to do something that my parents weren't able to do. I want to make sure my son gets full education and doesn't have to pay student loans for
Yeah.
um, about 40 years. I'm still paying mine, and so I'm trying to make sure that he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, I went to community college and I took out a student
Yeah,
loan and I'm still paying for it. And
right,
I'm 36 and it's kind of funny, but since you brought that up, I did start one for my son as well. It's a I forgot what I think it's like a 50, I don't know if it's a 503c or something like that, but I ended up opening one for him. And like you said, our parents were not able to do that, and
right.
I didn't want to rely on, let's say, local government or some type of programs. I try to be as independent as possible, and let's see what happens. But I think reselling is great if you have a family, you have a wife and kids, and this is a great passive income that you can pass along to your kids. So what's your background, George? What do you do for your full-time occupation?
I work for a big corporation.
uh
It's in the gaming industry.
Oh, nice.
So that's what I do. So I'm a food and beverage manager.
Oh,
I
nice.
specialize in hospitality. My main job is to pretty much talk BS all day to with guests, and
Yeah.
so my wife says that's all I do and talk to people, and so that's kind of what I do.
Oh, that's cool, man. And so how long you been doing that for?
I've been in that position for a couple years. Previous than
Okay.
that, I worked for another large company that sells coffee,
Okay.
and then previous than that, I was in the all the other restaurants that my family had at that time. So we grew up in an entrepreneur background, pretty much. All my parents, my mom, my dad, all they all had their own business.
Mm,
But it was different, right? They had their own business, but it wasn't the business that we think it is.
hmm. Now, do you think because you're in the hospitality industry that the service that you provide in reselling it like complements it, or it helps you with it?
No, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I learned something very early in my career when when we talked about like people that do when I hear somebody says, "Oh, I don't do returns," and I go,
Mm,
well, to me is if somebody contacts me and says, "I need this to be returned," I say, you know what? 9 out of 10, I did it this morning, and I said, "Don't
mm,
return it. Please keep it. It's on me."
mm,
Um, I don't want that customer that visits my store that goes back for a second to say, "Well, he didn't give me a return. He didn't do this, and I'm just going to
mm,
buy from somebody else." So I don't create a customer. I create a lifetime member
mm.
that belongs into my club. And so whenever I need something, I got to take care of the guest. I got to take care of the customer. So I think
Yeah, what
returns should be right on front.
yeah, what platform was that, or is that on all platforms that you do that?
I pretty much do that on all platforms except Goat or StockX. Obviously,
Yeah.
people are buying in a different category. But for today, for example, I did it on an item on eBay with a guest, say I'm going to open a return, it doesn't work. And I say,
Yeah.
you know what? Don't worry about it. Go ahead and keep it, donate it or recycle. Here's a refund. And, the gentleman said, my gosh, I've never had this type of service
Yeah.
from anybody. And looking at his track record, he had over 2,000 some
Yeah.
um,
Feedbacks.
feedbacks, right? And
Mm.
so, I mean, I wasn't worried about that. I was just worried about taking care of the guest.
Yeah, you know what? I'm the same way, not as you as far as, telling them to keep the product, but for me, it's all about each customer having the best experience on that platform so they can return and buy
Right.
something, whether it's from me or from somebody else. And so it's funny because I mean I'll go through Instagram stories and people will post, what this person said, and they're battling this person, and I'm just kind of like, this person might never return to this platform again because of this experience, which now can affect me directly. But I'm glad that people like yourself is taking that measure and really, delivering the customer service that they should, you know, receive.
No, for sure, Joey. Because think about it, we are a customer too, right?
Yes, yes.
So I shop at places that are going to take care of me. If I go to places, for example, like you know, Costco, I know because they're going to take care of me. Like
Yeah,
their return policy is lifetime, right? So the
yeah,
only thing you can't return is a TV. So whatever. But I know that at any time they're going to take care of me. Even if I don't return items, I know I'm going to be taken care of, right?
yeah.
So I feel I should treat the customers again. Now, don't get me wrong. If I'm going to sell some Vapor Max, I want them back, right?
Yeah.
But so let's not. But in this case, this gentleman had purchased a water filter,
Yeah.
and he says it doesn't work, or it's not doing what it's
Yeah.
supposed to. And I go, you know what? Don't worry, keep it, right? But if I were to be, oh no, you broke it, you did it, and
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get it, as a business, returns does affect the bottom line, but it's very a small percentage. And I know a lot of
Yes.
people will say like, "Oh, I'm getting a lot of returns, buyer remorse." That's part of having a business. And I think, people, you have to put money aside for those returns. I think in January and February, George, I got like maybe 2 to 3 returns a month, and I pay for,
Right.
free returns. And I said, oh my gosh, like, I don't mind taking it back, I'm cool with that. But at the same time, I said, you know what, this is happening too much. It doesn't kind of, go with my business model. So what I did was, on eBay, I did buyer pays for returns. And so, especially with the coronavirus going, or happening, I feel that money's going to get tight. I feel like people are going to want to return it at the 30 days and say, hey, I could use this $100. So I'm trying to eliminate that.
Yeah, I do have the same system. Yeah, buyer
Yeah.
pays for the ship and return.
Okay.
And I feel like if it goes to that level, I feel like the customer is being serious about it and wants to return it. I said, by all
Yeah.
means, go ahead and return it. But again, sometimes I've had the request where it happens 30 days later and they
Yeah.
don't return it, right? So the objection wasn't the return. The objection wasn't it doesn't fit. The objection was, hey, I need some money, and
Exactly.
can I have this money back? And so, you know,
Yeah, I 100% get it. So
yeah,
earlier you talked about some of the platforms that you're having success on. Can you tell
yes.
us again what platforms you're selling on?
So I always feel like in order to reach a guest, you gotta be like everywhere, right? I mean,
Mm.
some people like Poshmark, some people like eBay, some people like Amazon, some people like Goat, some people like StockX, some people like Mercari.
Mhm.
So, right now I'm having a huge success in Mercari, which about a year ago I couldn't sell, free water on Mercari. For some reason it just, it
Yeah.
just not it nothing would bite. But I
Right.
also feel like their platform has been updated, has been going the right direction, where it's getting easier to post. And so I traditionally we start on eBay, and then from eBay I will copy and paste, take it to Posh, and then copy and paste and take it to Mercari.
Mm.
So at the same time I'm posting on three places. And sometimes if I take it, for example, on eBay, I'll say, okay, this item is $80. I'll take it into a Posh, which I know this item sells higher, or is it a different type of clientele? So I'll
Mhm.
raise it $10. And then when I go to Mercari, I'll do that item for a little bit less or more depending on that market. Every buyer, every market has a different buyer as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've noticed that, George, where I just started selling on Poshmark in the beginning of the year. Just it was one of my
yeah,
resolutions, as they say. I was like, you know what? Like January 1st came, I listed like 100 items. I think I'm at like 115 listings. But I noticed that there's some things that sell there, and then there's some things that don't sell there. And so for
right,
me, it's just another, like you said, it's another revenue stream. It's another avenue to get to that guest. And I think if you can manage multiple platforms, I think it's great. For me, with my schedule, I would love to do Mercari, but I think I with two little ones, the wife, my job and this, it's just like, I can't manage it. So how do
right.
you manage it with the FBA, FBM, all that? Take us through the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, no, so I'm a truly believer to put in 110%. So I'm up 3:30 in the morning, 4 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
I set an alarm. That's like my power time. I
Yeah.
put in a clock for 1 hour. That's my time where I get power out through things. Either it's listings, is either packaging, is either getting ready to go to the post office, whatever it
Yeah.
takes. That those 90 minutes, because I know my son is going to get up, and so I want to be there to get him up, get him dressed, get him ready,
Yeah.
for his day. But that's really the time that I take. Or late at night, I will try to make sure that late at night I'm making sure that I have those, again, about 90 minutes where I can
Mhm.
really power through that. So I really set a timer, and that timer goes off. I'm done, right?
Okay.
I get another timer tomorrow, so I'm okay, but
Yeah.
it's really the power time. And but throughout the day, if you have any sales, any offers, I mean, obviously as soon as something sells, I go out and check it off the other platforms.
Yeah.
But you really have to be diligent on that. I can tell you a secret that I almost never cancel something on eBay,
Yeah.
obviously because of the negative on that. But Poshmark and Mercari, you can cancel and it doesn't affect anything.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. At what point did you come up with this power hour, or this timer? What made you want to create that, or how long did it, and also how long did it take you to say, I need to implement something like this in my business?
Yeah. So I do this a lot of work so I manage over at any day I have over about 800 employees that work for me.
Okay.
And so it's really hard when you're trying to get a task or accomplish something for that day. I start with writing what I need to do for the day. So I write
Okay.
the things. Okay, this is my top 3 items that I before I leave the office I have to get done. And it could be as, hey, call this person, anything, but those are going to get done. But interruptions in life are dime a dozen. They happen all the time, between the
Hmm.
phone, between you know i- this notification, that notification, this so when I really dedicate the time to do that is I turn off notifications, I turn off emails. There's nothing going on. It's just the time that I have to take to answer emails, answer this, create workshops, sign up for this, sign up one of my employees for a training. It's just really dedicated to that. So I feel like when I don't do that, I feel like I'm behind.
Okay.
And anybody that does
Mm.
sales knows that, if you're behind,
Mm.
you're losing sales, you're losing time. And
Yeah.
so I really try to power through that 90 minutes.
So how long have you been doing that?
Man, I've been doing that for about 10 years now. I think
Oh, wow.
about 10 years. I learned it from another salesperson, that, at that time, he he really wanted to do more sales, and he
Hmm.
wasn't able to because he wasn't able to farm correctly because he never gave him his time to do that. So in a resellers market, what's the biggest problem we have? Posting, right? We love sourcing, we
Yeah.
love buying. We can look at things, and I said, "Oh, that's a 2006, blah blah blah," and we
Yeah.
all know that, right? But dead piles grow. We don't post, and then we say we don't have sales. Why are we not selling? So
Right.
part of my 90-minute power time is like I post 5 items every day, no matter what it is. I don't care if it's a pair of socks that I have in my and that I haven't used. I'm gonna post something 5 times, 5 things every day. So
Nice.
on those
So
90 minutes, I'm posting that, and I try to do whatever shortcut I can save a second is really what I do.
okay. So during that power time, are you also you're also like shipping stuff or packaging if needed? It's not just listing.
No, it's not just listing. No, if it's need, so whatever I do. So first I'll start by shipping,
Yeah.
or if it's at 4:30 in the morning, for example, I won't ship until later because then my son will wake up. Obviously, the
Yeah.
tape and all that will make. But I'll
Yeah.
start early and I'll start the posting. So I'll try posting things right there and then. And I do everything with my phone. So whatever I do on my phone. I don't do the computer because it takes a long time to boot, and then I get interruptions, and then I want to go on YouTube, and
Yeah.
so I want to watch the news, and so I really just by doing that, I put my phone and I just post things.
Awesome. Awesome. No, that's amazing. I think for a lot of
Yeah,
people that are maybe looking into a new habit, I think that's one that's really great. And for people that, have death piles, I think that really solves a lot of solutions for people out there. So, what does your sourcing schedule look like? Because you do have a full-time job, you have an occupation.
right.
How do you mix the power time, the family, and then the job, and then now we got to find some product.
Right. So I think so I'm a type of guy that I know what I'm looking for. I know what I want, but I can't get distracted because I will get distracted. I'll see something that I think I can make money on, so I gotta stay very true to that. So if I'm going, for example, to Ross,
Yeah.
I'll start at the men's section and I'll scan through the men's section. I'll go through the kids section. I'll scan through that, and I'll spend longer time at the women's station,
Mhm.
right? Because for me, my stores, I sell probably 80% is women's shoes,
Really?
women running shoes. Yeah, that's my number one. That's my bread and butter. If I can find anything with air on a women in a colorway between six to nine, um, that's my bread and butter. I can sell
Wow.
that all day. Um, and so I hear sometimes resellers says, "Well, I don't like going into the women's section." I go, "Well, guess what, man? That's where my money's at." And I've heard you said that before. Yeah,
Yeah, it's that's one I don't know, it's just so weird for me, but
yeah,
it's a stigma I have, but I've done it, and I think sometimes when you don't have success in something, it just kind of beats you up. But if I go sourcing with another individual, I'll hit it up. Now, are you looking for all brands, or is it only a specific brand when it comes to like the women's uh running shoes?
so I started to be very picky as of a couple of months ago, where I'm really sourcing Nike only, or I'm sourcing items that I know or I've sold in the past. So I have a list of 10 items that I carry with that I
Mm.
know that these items I don't even have to look at. I'm just picking it up, and I don't care what size it is because I haven't sold it once. I've sold it two or three or four times,
Mhm.
right? So, for example, last year we did. I was buying this Under Armour that were USA, and then every
Mhm.
Ross had them for $24, and I was selling those all day for 109.99, 109. I mean, the
Yeah.
faster I put them up, the faster they went
Nice,
because
nice.
because at that time people get like the USA.
Mhm.
The colorway was great. It had an eagle, and I would see resellers going and just looking at him and go, "Oh, Under Armour,
Yeah.
nobody buys that."
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you kind of know.
Yeah, you'll also see that with other brands. I know, like last year, I was really big. I'm really big on New Balance. I even talk about it during the
Right,
podcast, but now it's starting to catch a lot of attention with resellers, and especially the Made in USA, Made in England,
right,
and there's profit in these. I just picked up a New Balance pair of shoes. I think it was like 25 or $30 at Burlington, and I sold it for 100. Yeah, 100 on Goat, and
right,
my profit was like almost $80. And no, it's got to be less than that, but I mean the percentage was really good. And sometimes these other brands, if you take the time and study them, you can really make some money when your competitor doesn't even care. They're leaving
right.
money on the
So
table.
I'm not a huge New Balance guy, but for example, I would pick up anything 4X, 3X,
Mm,
anything wide, and I don't care what color it is. I Those will sell like faster than anything
mm.
because there's a market and the type of brands we use are very limited. So Nike doesn't, technically have a lot of 4Es or
Yeah,
3X, and so it's very limited. But New Balance has that market dominated, and so a lot of people look at those and go, "Oh, that shoe." Yeah, well,
yeah,
that shoe just made me $80 or $100,
yeah,
and they
easy.
sell like immediately.
Yeah, I've sold some women's one, and we're talking like a monster
Yeah,
size. I think it was a 2E or something like that,
right.
and it sold, man.
Yeah,
And these are shoes that are being clearanced out, in a
yeah.
lot of big retail stores. So you have to pay attention, definitely to the trends. So, what does your business model look like? What are you trying to accomplish, George, in reselling?
So I mean, definitely trying to, obviously, we talked about in the beginning, trying to put some
Yeah.
money away for those rainy days. Um, Especially to take care of my son and take care of my wife, and
Yeah.
but my type of business is I know what I'm looking for, but I know that there's items that I can stand by and hold on to, but
Mm.
I also buy a lot of items that were like, you know what, I'm going to make $10, but these $10 is going to be 8 times, 20 times a day.
Yes.
So if I'm sourcing something for Amazon and I know this item sells because I've scanned it or I've done the homework or somebody has told me this is an item you want to follow, um, and it's selling 10 times a day. So I can be on the line and put it on Amazon, and before I get off the line, it's already sold,
Yeah.
right? And so that's a different type of. But when I'm looking for eBay, for example, I'm looking for items that are, again, women's shoes, colorful, right sizes.
Hmm.
But I'm very looking at that, probably about 30% to 40% return. If it's quick, if I'm gonna hold on to it, I better be making about 90% or 100% of my investment,
Okay.
because I could have that money somewhere else and be turned quicker.
Now, when you talk about the 30 to 40%, like a quick flip, what's your definition of a quick flip? Like less than 30 days, 60 days, 90
No,
days?
for me, no, for me it's like in the next week.
Okay.
Yeah, on the next week. Like I sell that, I'll sell that item in the next week because I don't have a lot of time to source. So when I source heavy, and so when I have that, I need to be posting daily. So by posting daily, and then everybody can call me crazy, but I feel that the algorithm on eBay, the more you put in, the more
Yeah.
you get out. I never got so many sales until I started doing that. I didn't come up with that concept. I did learn it from somebody
Yeah.
on YouTube that just said do that, and it's my sales went off the roof. And sometimes also, on eBay, you can accept a lower offer
Yeah.
because as soon as you accept one, it's incredible sales starting to come in. And
Yeah.
so if I didn't make 30% on this one, but on the next one I just made 180% or 120%. And so, you take your poison.
Yeah, let's talk about that algorithm because I've heard about that as well. And one eBay reseller that I know, he resells stamps, and there's a whole market for that. I mean, if you
Right,
know
right.
anybody that sells stamps, it's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I dig the shipping and all that, and how they
Right.
acquire them. But he was telling me, this individual said, he said, Joey, you want to end your listings once they reach like a certain amount of, whether it's months or views, and then you want to create like similar. And he says you always want to keep your store fresh because of the algorithm. And then you were talking about, with you, with accepting an offer, it just kind of jump starts it. But kind of go into detail what you learned on from somebody about that algorithm that, I think, was, were you saying a listing?
Yeah, on the listing part, yeah. So my friend, he will do like, he would do 5 listings a day. He will start with
Yeah.
5, and sometimes he'll do, hey, I don't want to do 5 tomorrow, I'll do 10 today, right?
Yeah.
But keeping that, and it says you're going to accomplish 2 things. So if it's 5 on 30 days, you posted 150 postings, right?
Mhm.
But also, if you end and sell similar, you just posted something new, right?
Mhm.
And so that created, for me, it created a lot of visual. I would see people started to, more viewers, more likers, were sending offers, even if it's a low ball offer, which I decline right away. Any low offers, I
Mhm.
don't, the first time, if it's, I decline all low offers because I feel like people are not, you're not serious, even if I accept it as that. But is creating traffic into my store,
Mhm.
right? Um, so for me, I just feel, and again, feelings. It's what a true salesman goes for. I
Yeah.
trust that. I trust my feeling. I trust my gut, and so that for I just continue to do the same. And my sales never stop. Like I have a goal to sell something every
Mhm.
day, and I haven't all this year, and the short year, I've sold something every day.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely kudos. So how many items do you have total?
Right now on eBay, I have about 858
Okay.
items altogether. But some of them are duplicates, so I try to also try to find the same item and just have it in different sizes.
Mhm.
Or if it's an item that's really hot right now, AI, for example, hair clippers.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. I
people
get
are
it.
buying. People are buying that a lot, and so you know, um, I do sign up to and so a lot of resellers won't tell you this, but I do sign up to a cook group
Yeah.
that I follow, and yes, you pay a monthly fee, but man, I
Yeah.
tell you what, these people, for me,
Yeah.
I don't have the time to find out that, hey, Crayola chalk is selling, go get
Yeah.
some. Like I wouldn't know
Right.
that, right? Even if I know what's selling, I wouldn't know that on the time that it takes, because in a week it's gone. Nobody will buy it.
Right. Yeah, it's quick, man. But you definitely have those resellers that focus on a certain niche, and then you find those resellers like, I'm here to make money, and that's
Right,
kind of that's where I'm at right now. Where it's like I've learned the sneaker business, what's good, what's not. But for me,
right,
I think in order to scale, you do need to bring in more product, different SKUs, different categories, and especially with this coronavirus, George, like I felt like I was just exposed to too much shoe inventory, like too much exposure. It's kind of like if someone has stock and in their portfolio is only, is like retail. Well, you want to pay your money elsewhere. And that's what I kind of realized. So I've been selling my stuff. I'm not really ambitious to get to the same level I was at with sneakers, but I definitely want to venture around with other items. But I think if you could join a Discord, a cook group, whatever
right.
you call it, there's a lot out there. It could help not only you, but it could help others, and you can learn and grow from each other.
No, no, for sure. I think when
Mm.
there's a bolo out,
Yeah,
I always try to pay back. I always try to throw out another bolo.
yeah,
I feel sometimes when you think that the market is saturated, like hair clippers, I think there was like over 6,000 listings on eBay, and
yeah,
I just managed to sell about 30 of them. So how did that happen, right?
right.
So and so it doesn't really matter. But when I do something like that, I have to do it great. I take 12 pictures. I'll
Yeah.
take professional pictures. I'll take
Yeah.
pictures in every angle, because people that are going to eBay, they're not buying the item. They're not buying the store from George or Joey. They're buying
Yeah.
the item that they see in a picture. And if that picture is not good, is not clear, they're not buying it. They'll buy it from the guy that's above you, even at a higher
Yeah.
price, because his pictures and his look is way
Mhm.
better. Because we all drive a car, but nobody wants to drive that car, right? We want to drive the Benz, the BMWs,
Yeah.
right? We feel better, but it takes you to point A to point B, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I was talking to my wife, and over the weekend, I sold some video games that I had, and I
Right,
was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I sold my video games at this price. Now it could be for a couple different reasons. It could be the photography, it could be the feedback, your reputation, and I think that goes a long way. But there's, like you said earlier in the podcast, like Poshmark has a certain clientele.
right,
Amazon has a certain, every platform attracts its clientele, just like a restaurant, a nightclub, what
right,
a casino, whatever it is that you
right.
do, you're always going to attract somebody. Walmart, Target, all those. So I think it's great that, that's happening.
Right. And then at
So
different times
yeah, go
too.
ahead, go
Like
ahead.
right now, this is different times, right? Right now you can't go to the Nike outlet, you can't go
Right.
to Ross Burlington, you can't go to WSS, throw a bolo out there for you. You
Yeah.
can't go to you can't go to your local or Big Five. You can't go to anywhere, right? Because um, we're closed, right? We're closed for business, right?
Mhm.
So we're like in that commercial of Mervyn's years ago, open, open, open to go in source, right? So
Yeah.
right now, like getting the information is really what makes a difference, right? I've heard this term from Warren Buffett like years and years ago, and he said, so Mr. Buffett, what's the difference between a person that's rich and a person that doesn't have your money? He says information.
Yeah.
You just don't have the information I have, right? And so
Yeah.
that's the difference with that. When sometimes you have the information, you're able to do that. So, if I would have told you 2 weeks ago to buy all the webcams,
Yeah.
available and
You would
and
make a
and
killing.
Best Buy, you
Yeah.
would have think that I was the craziest person ever, right? But
Right.
guess what? I sold a bunch because I
Yeah.
went in. My group told me, "Hey, buy webcams." I bought them. If you buy them, you
Yeah.
return them, which I don't. I hate doing. I hate returning things,
Yeah.
because it takes me time from sourcing, so I don't like returning things.
Yeah.
but but all the webcams, I mean, you can't get your hands on anything like that, right? Nintendo Switch,
Yeah.
um, cold medicine, right? I was selling cold medicine on Amazon, and it was ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, but sometimes you have items in your store that you think like, hey, I wasn't going to sell this until December, but now everybody's buying it.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just listening to an article, and they were talking about Tylenol and like how Tylenol just came off the shelves, but now
Right,
Tylenol is the number one sold uh drug all over the world, and it's just crazy how like the tide can change. And I always talk about this, but you have to know when to pivot. And last week I dropped an episode and I was talking about panicking. Like if you panic or you have the information before the crisis happens, to others you're a weirdo, right? You could be
right.
considered a yo-yo, a this or that. But to in the moment, if you're right, George, man,
Oh
you
man,
just it's a killing. Like so for instance, before the market crashed, if you sold or you diversified your funds or your assets, best move ever, right? But
right.
it worked out in your favor, and I think that's the main thing is like right now we're going to be able to see what kind of business people these resellers are and how and what position they're really in. And I think some people they're going to struggle, some people are going to get out of it, and some people are not. But I think it's just one of those things where like you have to know when to pivot, when to go fast, when to go slow. It's so vital.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because I don't do a lot of social media. I don't
Yeah.
follow a lot. I follow the right people.
Yeah.
So because of the time constraint that I have, so when I see people posting something, I always think like, okay, that's not an item that will sell.
Yeah.
They're posting to flex or to do something. So, but when I see something that people are posting, and I go, oh my God, I just saw 10 of those. Yeah, I need to go get them, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to make decisions right there and then. I remember last year we were doing the Under Armour was at Ross for $7.99,
Hmm.
and I everybody was saying, oh, that's not true, it's not real, it's not.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I picked up 50, 60 jackets of Under Armour for $7.99, and the comes were at 120, 180. So even if
Yeah.
I took an offer for $90, I'm good. They were
Yeah. You're
7.99,
good. Yeah.
right? But I was able to see that because Ellie Trip the Hunter put him
Yeah.
up, and I was like, oh man, I'm following the right guy.
Yeah.
Because if I follow somebody that goes to Ross 100 times a day, I mean, why do I need to follow anybody else, right?
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like
No,
if I
you're
if I
you're
want to know
absolutely.
about sneakers and I'm not following Hustler Hacks, like,
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm
I
not saying
think.
he's
Yeah.
always right. He's been
Yeah.
wrong many of times, but that's what makes you good, not the wins. The
Yeah.
when you make a lot of mistakes, right?
Exactly. And I think it it speeds up the learning curve. There's this saying that a wise man learns from a foolish man's mistakes. And if
Right.
you can prevent yourself from going through the hard times or the turmoil, like it's great. Now, in some things in life, George, we got to go through it. You got to make that
Right.
mistake. It's gonna hurt, but at the same time, it just has to happen to you. So, yeah, there's good things and bad things that come out of being a reseller. Now, for the people that are watching this on YouTube, we can see you have a rack behind you with a bunch of cleats. Uh, Talk to us about how you manage your inventory and where it's located and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I don't let's not talk about those cleats because those cleats have been with me for a little while, because I those are one of the things that I didn't buy them on Ross. I got them for almost near nothing,
Yeah,
but they're taking a lot of space, right? So I this was a buy that I was at the Nike outlet and I was
yeah,
going out, and this guy said, "It looks like you buy a lot of shoes," and I go, "Oh, a little bit." He
yeah,
goes, "What's up?" "Hey man, I have this cleats, and
yeah,
and I go, "Well, how much do you want for them?" And they go, "I don't know, just give me $20." And I go, "Well, how many are they?" Like 80. Like, okay, for $20, okay, all
yeah,
right, I'll get them. But they've been staying there for a while, right? And the reason I actually don't move them is to
yeah,
remind me to don't buy cleats again, right? And we're talking about football cleats and stuff like
yeah,
that. But again, sometimes these are the ones that you have to uh, learn fast and fail faster, right?
hmm,
And so for me, I do that. Um, but I most of my sourcing is through the Nike app. I do a lot of the drops.
hmm,
I like the hype stuff. No, because I want to get it, or no, because I will flex on Instagram because I really don't post. It's just that
yeah,
items that I want to keep around, or they have I have some sort of uh, knowledge that I hold on to this for a couple years. Um, I mean, there's shoes right now. If I would have told you that Travis Scott was going to come out with a shoe that's worth $2,000, you would have said, Travis who,
yeah,
right? And but now it's a thing, right? So, when you're looking for items, and if you don't know the hype stuff, you need to be able to diversify that inventory. But I do mostly, Joey, a lot of women's
yeah,
shoes.
yeah.
I feel that we're dominated by a female market.
Uh-huh.
Females are purchasing more than men all the time. They're very impulsive. Um, I can tell you that my wife goes to a website, and she buys things because they always have a sale, right?
Sounds like my
I,
wife.
I right, babe, I got this. I go, great.
Uh,
Well, it was on sale, so
uh,
you're good. And I go, well, if it was on sale, how many do I get money back? Are they going to send me some money, or
yeah,
because I feel like I still paid for it?
yeah,
But it was almost free. Let me check my bank account. Oh yeah, it did come out of here.
yeah,
Hmm. Right. But again, so if you think about that, you gotta think like a seller, you gotta think like a buyer. Um, most of my female buyers are like, they're jumping on it, or they'll ask me for a size, or they'll ask me for this type of color. And if I've seen it, I know I can get it.
Yeah, for me, a lot of my returns, I don't have a big, I don't have a big mix of women's shoes, but all my returns, maybe about 70% have been from women. And I don't sell that many women's shoes, right? But that's kind of
Right.
what turned me off, where it's like they do return at a higher rate. I mean, ask my wife if she'll return anything, she'll return anything. If she can get some money back or if they change their mind. So for me, starting off in reselling, it was too big of a risk for me. I'm open to buying women's shoes now because I can afford a hit, as far as returns or maybe if I get something wrong. But when you're first starting off, every sale is important. How long you've had the item. I mean, just building capital, cash flow, it's crucial.
No, absolutely. When I first started, I mean, I wasn't not selling, you know, the Flynets or
Hmm.
Air Max or Vapor Max, right? I really started with Skechers, selling
Hmm.
Skechers because I could get them for $1 and I sell them for 20, or I could find them at the Skechers outlet, and so you start learning. There's so many models of shoes, but I'm very dedicated that I have like I said, I have a list of 20 items that I see. So for example, if I see, we all know the Vapor Max, right? But
Hmm.
in reality, if the Vapor Max is at $75, I'm not going to pick it up because it's not, unless it's selling constantly or unless it's a colorway that I know would sell, right?
Hmm.
But if I see, for example, anything in a Flynet with a lot of color, I'm not even thinking about it. I'll take all the sizes,
Yeah.
and they'll sell for me immediately. Any type of lower to middle end or that has a high retail value. So, for example, I bought almost about 100 pairs of Joe Rides,
Hmm.
which nobody liked, but at the outlet they were about $34 with box, and these retail for 180. I mean, I think I just sold my last one, so it took about 4 months to sell 100 pairs,
Wow.
and I was selling them all day for 99, 120, 115. At some point I was like getting desperate, like, should I just take any offer? Because I knew what my buy cost is, right?
Right.
But eventually they would start selling. And I also try to make sure that as an item that I can cross list. So if it's an item that's available on Mercari, I'll go deeper. It's available on, for example, StockX. Like some
Yeah.
shoes are not available on StockX, right?
Yeah.
So, or some shoes are not available on Goat. But if I see a shoe that's available on all three, like I'll go a
Yeah.
little bit deeper because I know that I have three ways of being able to get those items.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, um when you were talking, experience, and I think it does take some time in reselling, but you can tell like the people with experience, they don't look at comps, they just look at, is it a fly net, is it a good size, is it color, I'm just gonna buy it. And it just takes time. So if people that are listening, that you're struggling, you'll get there. Just continue, um, following people that have the knowledge, and there's a lot of great people that you can learn from, and definitely you'll get there. So George, La Vida Retail 2, what's your favorite sneaker?
Dude, I love fly nets. I love shoes
Yeah.
that are super comfortable.
Yeah.
I think I'm growing a passion for Air Force Ones, but I
Really?
anything that's super expensive, I can't see it on my feet. Like I feel like it's like a grail, like a treasure.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to wear it, like because but anything that's that type of Nike free.
Yeah.
They're just very comfortable. I'm on my feet all day long, on my work. So I wear a very specific type of shoe. So I only wear like Kenneth Cole boots.
Hmm.
They're very good, or the Nike Air um, call hands, but I never get tired. So I try to use the same technology on my shoes, but that's my
Yeah.
favorites, man, are those type of very comfortable shoe.
Yeah, what's interesting for work, I've been wearing the same brand since I've been working there. I think it's
Yeah,
5 years now. I think it's called Bass, and I go to the
yeah,
outlets, and I buy the same style, just different
right,
colors, and sometimes I'll buy two and just kind of rotate them. But sometimes you just fall into that habit where you just
right,
love it.
yeah.
So, where can people find you on social media?
So on social media, yeah, La Vida Retail too.
Hmm.
That's what I'll post some stuff. Like I said, I really don't post, but I'll post some stuff. Um, I'll have a combination of things in there. But I follow a lot on Twitter. So La Vida Retail 2 on Twitter. Like I'm very fast on Twitter. I respond. I get a lot of notifications. If you want to know what something's going on or what's going to release or what's dropping,
Hmm.
Twitter is my go-to. I feel like it's still very underrated, but for me, it's given me some major wins. And so Twitter, I'm very constant on Twitter.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's a different type of reseller that's on Twitter compared to Instagram.
Right.
It's just but at the same time, you got to know what's out there, and there's different tools. So, last question, who is your favorite reseller or maybe resellers? Like, who do you think are some of the greats in the game for you?
Dude, let me tell you something, man.
Yeah.
I learned something from everybody, right?
Yeah.
I think very early on my career as a salesperson, when I used to sell cars because I thought cars were to sell cars, but
Yeah.
I met somebody there that always said two things, why you do it, how you do it, and do you like it or you don't like it, right?
Mhm.
And so I felt like that's when I started to back in the resale, I started looking for people that really were passionate and like doing things and start following them. And so one of my favorite people to follow is Renzi.
Mhm.
They do a lot of the used shoes, which I do a lot of. I feel like used sneakers, used shoes are a
Yeah.
very underrated market. But
Mhm.
man, I one of the biggest wins I've ever had is the used shoes. And so I follow them. And I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
They actually looked at my store on Poshmark and say, "Hey, we want to buy this item from you." And I go, "What are you talking about? You're like Renzi. You're like you have like
Yeah.
millions of pairs of shoes." He goes, "No, it's for my wedding, right? And
Yeah.
shoot, they were getting married, and so we want to buy this from you." And I go, "Absolutely not. Like, I'll send you this pair for free. It's on me. It's a
Oh,
wedding
nice.
gift, right?"
Yeah.
So they are one of my favorite resellers. Um, they're always on the game. They're not afraid to tell you how it is.
Yeah.
They always tell you something like, "Hey, you gotta clean up the profits,
Yeah.
clean through your profits." So I'm always thinking I'm cleaning shoes. I'm like, I'm cleaning profits right here. This is what I do best, right? So, but they're one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Again, you gotta follow everybody else. I think that LA Trip to Hunter is, to me, man,
Mm.
bless that guy. I don't know how he does what he does, but
Right.
um, he's to me he's awesome, right? He's very genuine, but uh, but those are the two people that I follow the most. I follow everybody else, but I just those are the ones that I kind of do that.
Oh, no, that's key, man. I think you both are killing it, right? And they specialize
Right.
in what they do, and they do a great job. So, kudos to them. Uh, La Vida Retail 2, thank you for being on the show today.
Very welcome, Joey.
Any last words before we close?
Oh yes, man. You want to see the biggest find? My biggest find ever?
Yeah, let's see it.
Goodwill. Oh, I see. I'm
Let's
gonna
see it.
get it for you. This is special.
Okay.
All right.
No way.
This is a Goodwill, and I can prove it because I do have a receipt.
Yeah.
So you all know what this is, right?
Right. You brand new?
That stock with the box, right?
How much you get that for? Tell the people that can't see it on the podcast.
So for the podcast, so these are the Nike Dunk off whites on pine green. I got these for $45 with the box, size nine, my
Wow.
size,
Yeah.
my size, and they were forty
Are you
five dollars. They were just bringing them in a cart, and I just happened to be there, and I saw the silver box, so I thought they were cleats, and then when
mhm.
I looked at them, I thought they were fake, but then I took them to get authenticated, and they're 100%. So the box is a little busted, but I'm holding on to
Yeah.
these babies
Yeah, you're
because
gonna keep them or
I'm probably gonna keep them. I have another pair too. I got that on the app, but yeah, that's one of the biggest finds. But I guess the point to this is that you just never know, right? You
mhm.
got to go out there and source, get the knowledge, scan things, look up the comps. You get the information. You just never know what you're going to find out there.
Absolutely.
It's crazy, when you find something at Ross that you just made money. I was like, holy, what is this doing here,
Yeah.
right?
I yeah, and I know you're a Dodger fan, right? Because you're LA
Yeah, big
shirt.
Dodger fan. Yeah, I'm
So
big Dodger fan.
I'm a Dodger fan as well. I went to a
Yeah.
yard sale, found a Raul Mondesi
Okay.
jersey, $3. Bought it, took pictures within like 30 minutes, sold it for $80. And
I
I
mean,
think, yeah, insane, right? It's
right.
just like
Only in
you said, the
America.
goodwill. I mean, you just never know. And I think you always want to keep your eyes open and just be open minded. You never know what's gonna happen. You if you go to a retail store, you never know what you're gonna find. Just stay positive.
Yeah, you just never know. I have this one on my Instagram. I left you with that one, but I
Yeah.
bought this pair of Adidas shoes for 49 cents, right?
I
And you
saw
say,
that.
okay, I'll pick them up, right? But I end up selling them for about $90. And
Yeah.
because I knew that this shoe was a specialty shoe, like it was for, I think it was for a javelin, like a track type of
Track and field,
shoe,
yeah.
track and field, right? And like I didn't know what they were for. I thought they were running shoes, but I said, okay, this has got to be that, right? So sometimes you just don't know, right? I
Yeah.
didn't look at the comps because they're 49 cents, but when I posted them, I was like, what? I just posted this. How do they sell so quick?
Yeah.
So because you just don't know, right? You got to look
Yeah.
all the time.
Every 49 cents item I've picked up, I've sold.
Yeah,
So
right? Right? Because what's the worst thing that can happen? Oh, you got 50 cents here. Somebody will
yeah.
give you 50 cents for it.
A- Absolutely. Well, George, thank you for being on the show and taking your time, man. I really appreciate it.
You got it, Joey. Man, let's get together again and let's do a go out there and do a cookout, and once the stores open,
Right, man.
we'll go between San Diego and here, and we'll see who sources better and faster.
Oh, you will win, man. Actually, I sourced in your area not too
Uh-huh.
long ago. I was up in San Bernardino. I went to Riverside. Man,
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything, man. So now I know who got everything. It's you.
No, I don't think so, but yeah.
Well, I want to thank the
Uh,
audience for tuning in. You can find today's guest on Instagram at LaVidaRetail2. You can visit the show's website at aresellersjourney.com, where you can find a link to my Instagram at ebayjoey and the show at a reseller's journey. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe and follow on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Remember, never forget why you started. Adios.
Later.